Hello and welcome to the alligator scarf. In this video, I'm going to work the first few rounds to show you some tips and tricks to begin the scarf. And those tips and tricks will help you in the remaining sections of the scarf as well. To begin with, we're going to cast on 8 stitches using a circular cast on method. Starting with a yarn over, knit one, yarn over, knit one, until we have the required number of stitches, and that's 8, 2, 4, 6, 8. Then we're going to pull the tail yarn and close the loop. Here I like to show you this small little trick that I like to do. So I've got this long tail yarn and it's always in my way. I like to make it into a small butterfly, and so I get it out of my way and don't confuse it with my ball yarn. So I made this little butterfly, and I'm going to tighten this, and now I have this butterfly, the tail. I can still pull and tighten, but it's not in my way anymore. Or rather, I can see it and I don't confuse it with my ball yarn. So I'm going to pull my stitches to the front. And by the way, I have a separate video that goes into detail about circular cast on, and that's also the link of that video has been provided in your pattern as well. So here I'm working my cast on and base and knitting the first round. And that first round is knit straight. Before we begin round 2, I want to talk a little bit about the structure of the scarf. The beauty or the uniqueness of the alligator scarf is that we use beaded stacked increases, and hopefully by now you have seen the beaded stacked increase video. Through that magic of the beaded stacked increases, we change the form or the structure of the round that we start with into an elongated shape. The way we do this is we add stitches on 2 sides, and we add a large number of stitches through the beaded stacked increase method. So we're going to start with, this is our beginning of the round. Then we're going to knit 1 stitch. On stitch number 2, we're going to add our first beaded stacked increase. And then we're going to knit 2 stitches. And that will be our first repeat. Then we work our second repeat similarly. We knit 1 stitch, and we make a beaded stacked increase on the next stitch, and we knit 2 stitches. And that will complete our round 2. I want to note that every other increase that we make is going to make along the same line. In other words, we're going to increase on the left and the right side at the center of the previous increase. And that's referred to as a center stitch. So when we reach the center stitch on every other row, we're going to make a beaded stacked increase. So round 2, we will be adding 8 stitches on the left and the right side, but then every other increase after round 2, which will happen on round 4, 6, etc., we will be adding 16 stitches, both on the left and the right side. So now to begin knitting my second round, I'm going to split my stitches in half and pull a loop, and take my marker and place my marker on the right needle tip and begin knitting my second round. So I'm going to knit 1, and I'm going to make my first beaded stacked increase, and that beaded stacked increase I'm adding 2 beads and making 9 stitches. So here I'm going to add my first bead on that second stitch where the increase needs to happen, and make a knit 1, yarn over, knit 1. Here, before I add my second bead, which is my last bead, I'm going to pull all the stitches onto the cable part of the needle, and note where my marker is right now. This is the right location for it, so it's going to be in the middle between stitches, because my loops are going to be on either end of the increases. So here I add my second bead and put that stitch on the left needle tip and work my top of the increase with a knit, yarn over, knit. Again, I am adding 2 beads and making 9 stitches. So I start with 3 stitches, and after I place my first bead, add my second bead, make 3 stitches at the top of the increase, then I insert my needle between the first and second bead and make 3 more stitches. So here I made my beaded stacked increase with 2 beads and 9 stitches. At this point I complete my my repeat. So I knitted the last two stitches to complete my first repeat. So at this point I'm going to scoot all my stitches here to the left needle tip, and here we go, scoot them. And because this is the first round, rather this is the second round, but because my loops are not yet established, I'm just going to go pull my needle all the way through, but keep a loop here on the right side. And then I'm going to begin my second repeat, which is knit 1. And by the way, I didn't put a marker between my first and second repeat. You can if you want to, but it's not necessary. The instructions really give you are referencing the center stitch on the right and left. So really, it's not. It doesn't reference any marker in the middle here. So anyway, knitting 1 stitch, then I'm going to make my next beaded stacked increase on stitch number 6. So I insert my first bead on that stitch, put it on the left needle tip, and make my knit, knit, yarn over, knit. So here again I'm going to place my second and last bead for this increase. I will pull all of these stitches onto the cable, and now I'm going to make another loop, and this loop location is now going to be the consistent loop location before the top of my next increase. So here I will add my second bead, put the stitch on the needle, and work the top of the increase, knit, yarn over, and knit. And then next I'm working the left side of the increase between the first and second bead, knit, yarn over, knit, and I'm going to knit these 2 stitches to complete the repeat and get to the end of the round. So here, if we get this out of the way, so here I started with my circular cast on in the center. I made my first increase and then got to this second point where I need to make my second increase, and placed my loops in the right location and completed round 2. To work round 3, all I have to do is transfer the marker from my left needle tip to my right needle tip and then begin, and that I'm asked to knit around to the center stitch. So I'm knitting until I get to the center stitch, and I maintain my loop locations here. So now they're established, I maintain them. So here, and one other note, if you are working with 2 circular needles, or if you intend to work with 2 circular needles, postpone that until section 1. Complete the base and the cast on and working rounds 1, 2, and 3 with 1 needle. It's going to be a lot less cumbersome for you. So here I am actually knitting round number 3, and I'm knitting up to the center stitch of that increase. And so this is the top of the increase in here. The center stitch of that increase is stitch number 2. So I'm going to knit to that stitch. So knit 1, get to that stitch. Here I am asked to knit and make 2 loops. So knit, wrapping the yarn around the needle twice. You notice that I inserted my needle into the stitch as if to knit first, then I wrapped the yarn around the needle twice. So once you do that, pull it through and then continue knitting to the next center stitch on the other side while maintaining your loop locations. I'm almost there. So here again, I am finished, or rather I'm coming around here on round number 3, and see how I kept my loops at the same location. So here is the top of my next increase. The center of it is the second stitch here. So knit 1, insert my needle as if to knit, wrap the yarn around the needle twice and pull through, then knit to the end of the round. So here I am. I've knitted to the end of the round. Here I've completed my cast on 8 stitches. I worked round number 2 where I've added the first increase, and that increase is a beaded stacked increase using 2 beads and adding 9 stitches. I made a right and left increase, and then I knitted my round number 3 to complete the base and the base section of the scarf. In section number 1 of the scarf, you use the same exact technique with the beaded stacked increases. The only difference is that you're going to be adding 3 beads and making 17 stitches. But the location of your cable loops will remain the same, and this technique to add the beaded stacked increase is similar to what I've shown you here, as well as what I've shown you in the beaded stacked increase video. I hope this is going to be helpful for you to begin knitting your scarf. Happy knitting, and thank you for watching this video.